The Japanese language proficiency test has official test books. Why should you go for this instead of something like the Nihongo Sou Matome series, by example? This is the N3 book, but all the pros and cons that I'll be talking about will be applicable to the N1, N2, N3, N4 and 5 books. Also, all these books will have a link to them in the description below. At the end of this video, I will be comparing both of these. This is the N2 book, I also had the N3 book, but I already sold that one, so. Let's take a look at this official practice book. This is the second version of the N3. There's also a CD included, and we can also see that this book is from the Japan Foundation, making it official. I also used this book to pass the N3 last December. So this book starts quite quickly. So from page 3 we already start with the vocab section. This is the exact same page that you will get on the test. You have 30 minutes and the vocab test. I won't show too much of this book, of like the inside of the questions and such. But the layout and the style of all these questions, it is from the real test. So this is really as close as you can get. After vocab, we have our grammar and reading section. For this section you have 70 minutes, and honestly you really need those 70 minutes and you'll probably still have not enough time. From my experience, this is the hardest part because there's a lot of reading. The reading really takes away time, so I won't show too many pages. So you have a lot of large amount of text that you have to read to be able to answer the questions. This section is kind of big. You have 18 pages in total. For the vocab section you only have 5 pages in total. After the vocab section there's a listening section. They're also indicated on the side, so easy to find your way to the correct part. So we have our listening chokai. For this you have 40 minutes, and on the official test you don't hear the same thing twice, you only hear everything once. The listening consists out of 14 pages and you have 40 minutes. Basically this includes pictures, only the question parts. To be honest, there's not much I can show you because it's really all filled with questions, this book. And it's really as close as you can, like it is an official test, so there's really not much, yeah. Then we go over to our question sheets. What I mostly do is I take a piece of scrap paper and I just write my answers on that, so I don't contaminate the book. And I can still use the book multiple times, but I've only used it once, so well, at least I can resell it now. So you have your question sheets. This is the exact same thing that you would get on the official tests. And then we go over to the answers and to the chokai scripts. So this is basically all the CD things that you have will be written down on these pages as well. So all the conversation and such. So first the answer sheets, and then you have all the listening parts. And then we go over to the Nihongo Noriyoku Shiken no Gaiyo. So this is basically like a summary of how the test works, what the test is about, what each section is about. It's kind of interesting, but I feel like they should have left this part out because it just takes up a lot of paper and space. It's kind of a thick bundle. I would have been happy if they would not have included this. This feels like a waste. They could have included more questions, kinda. And then in the complete back we have the CD. Yay! I haven't used the CD because I don't have a CDs player. Luckily the audio is also available on their website. In the end, it's 700 yen. If you pay more for this, you got ripped off. Or you probably live abroad where you cannot have everything for the official prices. And that brings us to the positives of this book. This is basically as close as you can get to the normal test, to the real test, because it basically is a real test. If you have never taken the JLPT before, then this is a great book, especially because you will clearly see on which sections you are struggling. Whilst doing this book, I would really recommend you to stick to the time limit, because the time limit is probably the most difficult thing about the JLPT test. That's the part that most people struggle with, that they don't have enough time to do everything. this book will help you to figure out which parts you really struggle with, because you can be good at a certain parts, but if you take too much time, then that's still a problem. It is an official practice test, so the timing, questions, difficulty are as close as you can get to the real test. The price of this book is only 700 yen, which is very reasonable for a practice test in my opinion. But every book has their cons. This book is 700 Japanese yen, which is not a bad value for what you get. However, almost half of this book is just a summary of the JLPT test and how the JLPT test works. So this book has over 90 pages, but nearly half of them are just summary pages. When I bought this book, I expected more questions for the amount of pages that the book has. Again, price is very reasonable, and I'll probably buy this as well for the N2, the moment that I will take the N2 version. Like, I really like it, but I wish they would have left that whole information section out, because I feel that it's very unnecessary, just waste paper, and gives a fake illusion that there is more to this book, because you see all the pages. This is basically one, like the amount of one test, and honestly that's basically it for the cons. Like, I don't really have that many bad things to say about this book. So for 700 Japanese yen, you get an official test book with 102 questions, including listening. The alternative I would always recommend to almost everybody who studies Japanese is the Nihongo Sou Matome series test book. They have them for the N4 and N5, that's combined. They have the N3, N2 and N1, and they contain 500 questions. However, these books don't include a listening part. But what do these offer, which I find a lot more valuable compared to just having a practice test? Well, this is something I found extremely helpful, and especially when you're still studying for the test, this book is probably the best thing to choose from, because if you mess up your questions, it will have an explanation of why you were wrong. It explains to you what you did wrong and why you probably chose the wrong answer. And honestly, that is quite helpful and saves you a lot of time having to look everything up yourself. So in the end, both of these books are great. If you are still studying for the JLPT test, however, I would more recommend this book. If you feel like you're ready for the JLPT test and you want to properly test yourself, get the official test book. They're very helpful books in my opinion. I hope this video helped you in making your decision if you need this book, or if you want it or not. Again, all links to these books will be in the description below, and good luck to everybody taking and studying for the JLPT test. See you next time.